Hello and welcome to the Instant Impact Event Show. This is Event Conversations and Q&A edition. I'm Cheryl Williams.
I'm CJ Williams. Thank you for being here.
Yes, guys. Thank you so much for joining us here today.
Yes.
We have lots of great questions that you guys have submitted. Remember, if you want to get your question answered, be sure to send those in, and we do answer those as much as we can throughout the week and get those on a Q&A episode show that we have. Sometimes we answer multiple questions. Sometimes we deep dive into one. Today, we're going to answer a handful of questions that we have here.
Yep, and we'll get right to it.
So let's jump right in. Let's dive.
How do I figure out how big of a riser I would need for my event?
Good question.
Yes.
Now,
you don't want an eensy-weensy?
What is a riser? Some people might not know what a riser is.
A riser is a small stage that is built by sections, and sometimes they can adjust the height also. But some of the time they're about 2 feet high. The average is about 3 feet high.
And so depending on the sections are squares.
Right.
And so you can put like multiple sections
10
together.
10 by 12s or something like that.
To make the stage, the riser, a certain.
Smaller, a little smaller. Yeah. Yes.
So how would you figure out the size that you need?
Well, it's up to the size of the room you need. And you want to make sure you have room for your screens, because your riser's in the middle. On the outside of that is going to be your steps, then your screens, and then sometimes you have enough room on the outside of that, and then sometimes you're right to the wall. Simple as that. It matters how big your room is. And if you have a low ceiling, you don't want to have it as high as it can possibly be, because it's going to look crappy with your head close to the ceiling.
Yeah.
So you can get it put to 1 feet.
You don't really want to wear the ceiling as a hat.
No. Or raise your hands and talk, and then bang!
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's a good point too. You want to make sure when you're picking your venue that
you have picking enough room, and
that your ceilings are high enough to take into consideration the height that you're going to have of the riser, the height of the speaker on top of the riser, and then you want more height above that they're not, making it an ornament on top of their head.
Because then you won't even be able to get your screen in also.
And the screens are another one, because the
screens are tall.
Are tall too, especially with the dress kit, and you should always have a dress kit with your screens.
Yes, it looks way better.
It looks much better. It looks more finished.
And you should never not have one on the bottom.
Yeah.
Figure out a way of using clamps. The reason I'm bringing that up, because I just saw somebody that just had an empty screen there with the legs open,
the legs and everything
sides. Like there was no drape at all, but still at least have a drape kit. And you can use clamps and some drape and just wrap it around and tuck it under, and you're good.
So as far as the size of the riser goes, it depends on the size of your event and the size of your room.
Yes.
You don't want the stage to swallow up the room.
Correct.
But
you don't want it too wide either.
Don't want it so small that if you have a bigger event, you're here and you can't really get to talking to the people where they're at either.
You want to be able to talk to the people on your far left and your far right.
Now that does not mean that the stage needs to go completely all the way to either side.
No.
But if you have, let's say you have your room split into thirds. So you have a middle and then a left and a right. If your stage is only in a fraction of the middle portion, one, it's too small of a stage for the room.
They're going to be left out.
But also these people that are flanking on either side aren't going to feel like they're getting your attention. You're speaking to them, right?
Right.
So you want it big enough that the stage almost touches the corners of those rows that are coming in from the side, because then you're able to go over and address them over on one side and address them over on the other without having the stage be so big that it's overtaking the room at the same time.
12 feet is a good size wide.
Okay. So
and about 8 feet. 12 by 6 or 8.
It also depends on what else you have going on the stage. Are you just getting up and speaking on the stage? Is there going to be
multiple chairs?
Are you going to have couches, chairs, multiple people up on the stage speaking? Are you going to do panels up there?
Right.
Are you going to have some sort of wall behind you, some sort of design or something?
Yes. So that's when you're going to need it a little wider.
Right, because all of that takes up room.
Yes.
So think about those types of things when you're thinking about how big or how small it should be. You want to make sure that it fits the space well and it fits what's going to be on the stage well, without overpowering or being like a little dinky island float boat out there. Okay.
The next one's for you.
All right. So the next question is, how much do you pay event salespeople? Now, this question, I'm going to start off with, it depends, okay? It depends on many factors. So I cannot just give you like, this is how much you pay them across the board. It really does depend on what do you have going. Are they people that you're bringing from your sales team already that you have and you're bringing them to do your event? That's not advisable. I would say you need to have people who are, their main job is event sales. Event sales is much different than phone sales. Event sales is much different than door knocking sales, right? It's just a different ball of wax altogether.
Yes. Some people aren't comfortable when they're not on the phone.
Right.
And then when they're in front of somebody, they're not going to be able to talk to them correctly.
Your salespeople at your event their objective is to be meeting with the attendees at the event on a more one-on-one basis, so that they can talk to them, they can talk about the packages that you have or what you have available, answer any questions, go over the details, make sure it's a good fit, see if it is a good fit or not. This is what they're going to be doing. And so you want to pay them well for what they're going to be doing. Because a lot of times when you're on stage and if you're selling something, you're telling them to go to the back and sign up. That's great for a lower ticket something, right? But if you're dealing with things like we tell you to, they're higher ticket, $10,000, $20,000, they might need a little more.
50.
Well, that too, but I'm saying like we're starting off with like even as small as that, but we have packages that we sell at events that are $50,000 and $100,000, right? So that you want someone to sit down with you and go over what it entails and what they're gonna get, and make sure, and also
and how to pay.
But you're also making sure, is this a good fit for them or not, right?
Right. Is it their last dollar?
The salesperson's job is not just to make the sales, it's to make sure it's a good fit with what you are selling or what you're offering, and the investment that they're making is the right investment for them, right? And that's the difference between sales and sales is you want it to be a win-win. You don't want to sell every Tom, Dick, and Harry. You want to make sure that your event team knows we're making sure this is a good fit, right? Especially on the higher ticket, it's more, you're going to be working with these people more, right?
Yes.
It's not going to just be a phone conversation that you're having periodically. You're going to be working more with them. And so the higher the ticket, normally the higher the proximity is that you're going to be working closer with them on that as well. So you don't want just anybody, right? If you're selling something for $5,000 at another event, that's a different story, okay? So think about that. You want to make sure you have the right people doing the event sales, and then, you want to compensate them well for doing that,
What's
right?
the average?
10 to 20% normally is what you should be, is pretty normal for event sales commissions, right? You can also
not individually.
No, normally
but as a pool, right?
Normally it's pooled. That way, there's a couple reasons behind that. So one is because you want to make sure your team is working together towards the event. Because let's give a scenario. If you're wanting to meet with every single person at that event, okay, that should be your objective. Your salespeople should be meeting with every single person at the event. So
even if they've been there before.
Correct. Every single person should be met with. Some you're going to meet with them longer than others. Some is going to be a quick, do you have everything you need? Do you have any questions? Anything we can help you with? That's their job, right? So some people are going to get some duds and some people are going to get some studs, right? So if you know that
Duds and studs.
everyone's working together for the collective, right? Because you're not going to say, well, I only want this person over here because they already told me they want to buy, right? So then you start creating like this tension and animosity towards and they start like this backstabbing, and I've seen it happen, right? At these events because everyone's going after, I want that, right? Versus saying, hey guys, we're all here, we're a team, we're working together, we're all pulling weight here,
right.
We're all doing together, we're gonna get it across the finish line, right? And so that way, if you're sitting down with a few duds, but then you get some studs in there, it's all coming together for everyone, right? Now, could you have a few, things in there like, hey, the person who gets the highest gets something else, yeah, you could do that because you do want
top
people
sales.
to be pushing as well amongst themselves, but you don't want it in the negative alternate way where they're trying to go around and pull people out and meet with people who've already been met with and change the name on the bottom of the order form to the other person.
Happens all the time.
This has happened before, right? Multiple times. And so collectively you want everyone working together. Yeah, you could have an accolade for someone who comes in on the top. But at the end of the day, it's commissions pooled and then divided by however many, if you have 5 people, you have 10 people, whatever it is, divided by that number and everyone gets that. And maybe an extra bonus for the person who does. Or you could also do, another way you could do it is if you have a team lead, or someone who is the person's overseeing that sales team,
that's what I was going to talk
they
about.
can get that extra little commission as well, that extra benefit, because they're doing an extra job. So everyone would understand that. Look, they're getting more because they're facilitating and overseeing.
Does that change? The numbers change because they're the salesperson, and even though somebody else is in charge of the sales team, so they set the price of what the sales team should get?
No. I don't do it like that. And the reason is because you as the speaker or you as the person putting on the event should be not in control of the sales team, but in a way they answer to you, okay? They answer, and just like in any role, if you have a company, the person at the top, everyone answers to the person at the top. Not saying that there aren't other leaders or team leads or people in other positions that everyone really is answering to, but at the end of the day, everyone's answering to the person at the top, right?
Correct.
Same way with your sales team. Everyone should be knowing, like, look, we're working for this person over here, but our team lead, our point of contact is over here, because you don't want the sales team, all these sales team going to the speakers and asking them questions. They need to go to their team lead. They need to go to that person and ask the questions, not going everywhere else.
Ever.
So that is why it's important to have that liaison person, that person that's there, like, look, you have questions, you come to me. I will get those taken care of. Now, if that person doesn't know, then of course they can take it to the next person. But everyone is working in conjunction towards the same end result. Yes, everyone's answering to whomever is in charge, but there needs to be someone who is leading that sales team.
Yes.
And anyone on that sales team, if they have questions, when you have your team meetings, when you have things come up, they go to that person who's in charge of that.
And a lot of questions should be answered for them during the meeting anyway.
Yeah. So you have a meeting with everyone ahead of time. In the evening after each night after the event, before you get started in the morning, like there should be these meetings going on throughout.
Because it helps everybody.
It helps keep everyone on the same page. It helps if there's some challenges and objections that are coming up. Everyone can kind of figure out how to handle those, all of those kind of things. So work together, pay people well, keep everyone moving, but synergistically, everyone's a team. We're working towards the same thing.
Next one. I don't know anything about putting together an event. How do I start?
Well,
there's a lot of different ways. You just
so it depends.
Just do it.
For one, there are right and wrong ways of doing events, so we're not going to sit here and say that there's not. However, the worst way of doing an event is not doing an event at all, right?
Yeah, what most do.
So if you sit in indecision so long, your decision has been made for you, which is you're not doing events. So I would rather you take imperfect action and get in action than sitting and saying, well, I don't know how to do it, so I'm not going to do anything. But also find people who have done it and learn from them. That's why we're doing this show all the time. Like, we have knowledge and information and resources. Listen to all the shows we put out. If you listen to the shows that we have, you're going to have a better knowledge base than most on how to put on your events, right? But the main thing is you've got to take action.
Right.
You've got to get in.
You need to figure out what you're going to teach on.
What are you going to speak on? What's the event going to be about? Who are you going after as your attendees?
Yeah. Who's your avatar?
How many days? What is your knowledge of expertise? All of these things. But the main thing is get out there and start having your events. Your first few events, maybe you have 5 or 10 people at them.
Right.
It's okay.
Maybe you have a half a day, but you already know what you're going to teach because you have it laid out already. And then you can grow from there.
So start taking action, no matter how big or how small, no matter how insignificant. You're like, well, this is not really an event, it's a half day. I'm just sitting here talking. Guess what? Events are that. You're talking to people.
And you just need to come to the blueprint.
And so the more that you do this, the more that you get better at it, right? You learn, you grow, you find people that you can learn from to help kind of circumvent some of these roadblocks and speed bumps and pitfalls that are along the way. And so you start getting more and more with that.
And building momentum.
But definitely go back and listen to previous episodes. We have a lot of Q&As. We have a lot of topics. Go through those, right? Send us in your questions. We have, things that you can get involved in as well. We have, weekly group coaching calls that we do. We have Event Academy, which is a 12-month training program where you can learn how to put together your own events. We have Event Blueprint, which walks you through how to build out your perfect event blueprint. So your event's both impactful and profitable. We have multiple resources for you. There's also free resources available to you. The main thing is decide that you're going to have an event, pick a date, and move. Get into action, and the next steps will be revealed for you.
Boom.
Alrighty, guys. So thank you so much for sending in these questions. Make sure you keep them coming. We love doing these episodes. It gives us ideas for show topics and things as well that we can dive in a little deeper. So be sure to leave us a comment and a review, share, subscribe, like all those good things. And this is available on all major platforms, so check it out and make sure you let your other like-minded people know about it as well.
Please share.
And in the meantime, remember, guys, it only takes an instant to make an impact. Talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.